All right, my guest tonight, editor for EGM Magazine, and if you ask him, the star of the One Up Show, Shane Bettenhausen is here, and acting editor-in-chief for the PlayStation channel at IGN.com, Greg Miller. Welcome to The Loop, guys. Let's upset some Sony fanboys here and get into it. You know, they've seen a huge spike in sales since lowering the PS3's price. You got to give them that to $499. They introduced, of course, the mid-range option for $399. The console finally outsold the Wii in Japan for the first time ever, so all things are looking good, and that leads some to wonder, Shane, was price the only thing that was holding the PS3 back?
It was the biggest thing, but they also had lack of games, and it's hard to make games for it. There's a lot of reasons why last year it just couldn't compete. And the other reason was the Wii and 360 are just great competitors, whereas PS1 and PS2, they didn't even have to face off against strong consoles. So it's been an uphill battle the whole way.
The 4 or 5 last Dreamcast fans are still crying that you just said that they didn't have any real competition with the PlayStation 2. But Greg, can Sony actually afford to sell the PS3 at $400?
I think they have to. I mean, this is a holiday that just has to something has to happen right now for them, or they guarantee they're in third place for the rest of the life cycle.
Well, let's talk about the games then, because of course, Shane, you said that price was the biggest thing holding them back, but I think most gamers agree that the 360 is actually probably the best console for the multi-platform titles because it's usually the target platform when a developer sits down to flesh out a game. But what about Sony's exclusive titles?
Well, this Christmas they have a few really good games like Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, Warhawk, Heavenly Sword, Ratchet & Clank. Those are all exclusives, and they're really good. But they are still lacking the third-party exclusives. And as you said, like the multi-platform games just aren't as good still on PS3, and that's a big problem moving forward.
Shane, you keyed in on a great point there. You said it right off the bat. A few good exclusives coming out this year. I mean, you look back and Sony promised a lot coming into this holiday. You look at Lair, you look at Heavenly Sword. No matter what, public opinion is really swayed on those. So I mean, they don't have that huge oomph they wanted. Plus, Little Big Planet, Home, everything getting delayed.
But Greg, now what about the third-party titles that Shane did talk about? Is Sony going to be able to turn that around and get developers to start focusing on their platform, or is that battle completely over?
It's a battle that's really hard to fight right now. I think once you see Home come out, you'll see more of a battle for third party. Because, I mean, let's not lie, we all love achievements. And if you don't love them, you loathe them to the point that you want to get them just so you can get your friends to shut up. So, I mean, you want those achievements. The trophy
room is the reason that EA is going to start developing for the PS3 first?
I think you're totally wrong. You're wrong, Greg. Because, Xbox 360 fans care about achievements, but PlayStation 2 fans, they don't even know what that is. I think the problem is it's just hard to program for. And until you see games that are lead platform PS3, like upcoming Burnout Paradise, which is actually better on PS3, that's the kind of thing that's going to change this momentum. If they're porting over,
but that's just starting too. I mean, you're hearing people say that it is a harder system to develop for, so they are going to start doing PS3 first. But I think right now you were talking about Uncharted and Ratchet. If people can put out those kind of titles on the PS3, it's time for developers to just shut up about it being tough. If somebody can do a game that well and make it look that good, then it can't be that hard to develop for.
But Greg, can somebody do a title like those if they're going multi-platform, or do they really then have to devote extra resources and time to making sure that it runs and looks that good on the PS3?
Well, as consumers, we need to demand that. We shouldn't accept mediocrity in our industry. So, I mean, if somebody's going to say, oh, it's too hard to make it as good as the 360, if we're going to have Madden running at half the frames per second, I mean, something's got to give.
Now, Shane, everybody, of course, talks about it being hard to develop for. We keep hearing these stories. Then we heard that a year down the road, and again, it's the one-year anniversary, we wouldn't have these issues. But then I hear that, the orange box is practically unplayable on the PS3. Then I hear that, Assassin's Creed is freezing up. I mean, yeah, it might be a firmware issue, but is there ever going to come a time where these stories cease to exist, where we stop hearing about how tough the PS3 is for developers?
Well, it already is happening. A game like Call of Duty 4, which is a fantastic title, it is just as good across the two platforms. And the developer Infinity Ward, they say, well, we knew it was harder, so we put more people on it, better people on it. So it takes some initiative, it takes some doing, but it is possible. And Burnout's another example. And I think moving forward next year, the gulf will shorten and the games will be better on PS3.
Greg, what do you see coming up next year for the PS3? I mean, we've seen some exclusive titles for this holiday, but what do you think is around the corner for the PlayStation gamer?
I think the biggest one for a lot of people is going to be Metal Gear 4. Obviously, everybody's jazzed up about that, and whether you worry about it being exclusive for only a year or whatever, that's what's going to drive, I know, a lot of people to go out and buy that PS3. Same thing with Little Big Planet. Finally having that kind of, it's never going to be the same online community that Xbox has, but having, user-generated content and voting on maps and really creating your own stuff is going to be fun and cool.
Could either of those titles actually turn the tide of war, or will it just give the PS3 a fighting chance?
It's going to give the PS3 a fighting chance, I think. I think it depends on how they do this holiday. I mean, talking about where they're going to be coming out of this. You figure right now, how many kids have already made their Christmas lists? And I mean, they don't worry about what they can play down the road. No, I mean, they're worried about what they can play on Christmas morning.
Right. That's
so I mean,
true.
Xbox's ad campaign is a perfect example. I mean, right now Sony's putting up these ad campaigns that are really good, and they show a lot of cool stuff. And now they're starting to put out ones that say coming soon. But Xbox is very cut and dry with the Motley Crue song. You know, play all the games everybody wants to play.
All right, Shane, I want to give you very quickly the final word for this little loop discussion that we're having. PlayStation 3's second birthday, a year from now. Where is the console?
I think it'll be in a much better position than it is now. It's already selling a lot better than last year, and the games are coming. And you kind of forget about the global market, and PS3 is kicking 360's ass in Europe and in Japan. And that from a global standpoint, I think within a year you'll see it's back. It's back to where it used to be.
All right, I want to thank both Shane and Greg for joining us in the loop. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the discussion.
Attack of the Show, weeknights at 7, only on G4.